do this again. Here we go. Back at it again. Because I love doing this so much, I'm gonna do it twice. So, okay, so for starters, back at the beginning, I've now extended my timeline out to 150 frames. I want to make sure all of my drawings exist for that whole time. So I'm going to extend my exposure to 150. Now, again, you should have a floor, a pedestal, and a ball already made. That ball should be in a peg. And the peg should have it so that it is on the edge of your pedestal so that we can just assume that someone's giving it a little push when we get started. Okay, so looking at the reference video that we have, I will be sharing this document with you soon. There's a reference video. I have a screenshot of what the video looks like at the very end. Now, you can assume that this is on 2s. So that means that every single one of these is spaced out by 1 frame. So if I count this, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 frames. So times 2, that's 18 frames. So let's go out to frame 20. And before I do that, turn on my control so you guys can see what happens. So pull it out this way and down. And so for right now, we're just setting the location of where it's moving to. We're setting our key poses, and then we'll go back and tweak with the animation settings to make it translate between those key poses properly. But right now, we're just using the translate tool to set the location or translate keyframes for our ball. So going back, we can count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to put 9 frames on the front and 8 on the back. So that's again another 18 frames. So I got to 38. Up and over. And then 16 frames from here. Oh, this is on 37. That's why I'm like, this doesn't look right. Okay, so then this goes, this is 30. So 16 from here, that's 12, 14, okay. So to 54. Then move that over here. And then again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll bias it 7 and 6. So that means 14 frames from here. So I'll go to 68. Up and over. In fact, I'm going to take a second to go back here and just make these a little wider. Okay. So 7 and 6, I think is what I said, or was it 8 and 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so 7 and 6. So I'm going 12 frames from here. That'll put me on a nice even 80. And let me spread this a little over here. Okay. And let's take a look. So his is these are much wider. So I'm gonna just take a second, and I don't need to really change their timing, but I am gonna just spread these all out a little bit more. All right, this looks good. And then let me just go back, tweak this. Tweak this, okay, and then so from here I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'll go 5 and 4. So 10 frames from here, and then 8. It's on frame 90. Then frame 98. So I'm on the third bounce, right? So this should be much shorter. Also, I'm going to take a moment to come shorten this one too. And if you just follow with your mouse, you can draw out and see how that line sort of subtly curves in there as the height of the bounces, the maximum height of it, drops down sort of in a, I think that's a logarithmic way. So we're here, and then we're counting again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll go 4 and 3. So another 8 frames. Then 6 frames. Back down to the bottom. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's just going to be 3s and then 2s and 2s. So I'm going to take some more height out of this. And then we'll go 6 frames out from here. And then 2, so that'll be 4 frames. And then another 4 frames. 4 frames. And then another. Alright, and then we'll add the roll off once we do rotate, and that'll be on another lecture just because I don't need to mess with it right now. We will add a little bit of roll off to shed that last bit of speed. So first things first, I'm going to save this and then I'll go back and play it for you guys. So this is what we got so far. Again, we're just dealing with height right now, and you can tell the acceleration is way off, obviously. But okay, so we got that going. Now we can go all the way back to the start. Now I need to add a frame here at frame 5, let's say, maybe frame 4, that bends all of this so that my arc actually has some curve. And then, so I don't need to do much here, except, so I'm going to start with frame 20 in my path editor. So I'm going to select frame 20. Now, because this frame is at the bottom, we want it to have a tension of 1 at the bottom so that it's not Tokyo drifting through the bottom trying to curve through it. We want it to be tense. We want it to go straight towards the ground and then redirect once it hits the ground immediately. So the tension should be +1. Now moving forward to my frame at 38, that we want to actually have a negative tension because we want it to arc more through that point. So I'm going to set the tension to -1. Then, so you just keep going. Bottom frames, tension 1. Frames at the top, -1. And don't be dumb like me and make sure that you're clicking on them properly in the actual 3D path editor. Oh, whoa, hold on. this one is in the air, -1. This one should be +1. And this one's -1. This one's on the ground, +1. -1. +1. All right, so now, again, now let's just be looking at the arc, not the speed. All right, cool. So now we want to deal with our speed. So for this, I'm going to save, and then I'm going to mess with the ease editor. So again, your ease editor, it takes the keyframe that you're selected on and changes the acceleration or the transition between the keyframe you have selected and the next keyframe in times, the keyframe to the right of it in the timeline, essentially. So this is the keyframe between my frame at frame 4 and then going down to the ground at frame 20. So like we already talked about, we want to honor our slow in, slow out. In this case, we're just dealing with the concept of slowing in because we are having things build up acceleration. We'll be dealing with slow out as it reaches the top of our arcs as gravity affects it. But as it goes towards the ground, it should be accelerating until it hits the ground. And then we'll deal with it on the next frame. So for this case, I want to have one of these here. So I'm going to choose one of the more gradual ones, not the hardcore one here. Maybe this one. And so you'll see how on my control, the frames are much more squished together up here, and then they spread out as they get closer to frame 20. So it does look a little weird here, but that's because there's 4 frames here. I could probably just move this forward a frame and that would help. Okay, so from frame 20 to the frame at 38, we want it to quickly have, it's going to have speed already as it hits the ground, it'll rebound, and then as it's bouncing up, gravity will be pulling on it and then slowing it as it rises. So I will, instead of using the one that we just used at the bottom here, or from 4 to the bottom, we want to instead choose the one that quickly approaches the next frame and then slows into the next frame. So I'll choose this one, second from the bottom. You'll see that it's, again, much more spread out here towards the bottom, and then it bunches up as it gets towards the top. So then from this one, I'm going to choose the inverse of that. Whoops, I'm still selected on the wrong frame in time. Now I want to go to frame 38 and control this one so that now it is slow and then picks up speed again as it approaches the ground. So let's take it back and let's take a look at the first bounce. Obviously it hangs a little bit too much at the top, but we can just choose a less let's see, this is the frame that I want it to be like this. There we go. On this one I'll just choose the less crazy ones. They're slightly more spread out. It's okay. We can... I'll come back to that, I guess. That's just a matter of adding a keyframe or two in there. So that brings us to the bottom. So I'm going to do the same thing. So this one I want it to be quickly approaching what it looks like at the top. So I'll choose one of these where it's arcing up. Then from the top, I want it to slow or accelerate as it gets closer to the bottom. So I'll pick the inverse. So again, I'm making it so there's more frames towards the top, or excuse me, I'm pushing the frames so that they're more closer to the top than they are to the bottom, meaning that towards the bottom of the transition, the more spread out the frames are, the faster that it appears to be. So I'm here, here, here. So from here to here, I want it to do this. Then from here, I want it to do the opposite. Boom. Oh, that's not what I clicked on. This one needs to be... It's on the bottom, right? So, oh, it is on the bottom. So you want this, okay. This one's at the top, and this one should be like that. This one doesn't matter. All right, so now with all my E's set, now what I think I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to change the scale of my ball. Oh, but that's going to mess with the, okay, hold on. Sneaky me. Okay. Scale factor. Oh, it's going to mess with it either way. I'll just have to fix the translates. So the frames, I have more, because of how big my ball is, it looks like it's not moving necessarily as fast as my timeline would make it seem, like just because the size relative to the scene that I have it in. So that's why it looks really slow. If it were a smaller ball, it'd be moving. It would appear like it's moving a farther distance at a time. I don't really want to go through and retime all of this. That would be a pain in the ass. Alright, I guess I will have to tweak this. If I make my ball smaller, oh, crap. Then I just need to tweak a few of my translates. Make sure it's touching the ground again. The bottom of my bounces. The top doesn't matter that much. There we go. So the timing was, if I go back to this, you'll see that the ball is quite small relative to the space that it's in. My ball was quite big, so it wasn't really appearing to move as much, even though the timing is the same. So now I have this. And that's that. Okay, so tomorrow will be a work day to get all of those put in, and I'm gonna like physically print out a sheet and check you off on whether or not you have that tomorrow. So if you haven't already, at the very least, make sure you use the we only have like 5 minutes or so left, but hopefully you will be in a good spot to get this done tomorrow. We're again just doing the translate keyframes, going through and fixing the tensions, and then setting the ease on each of those keyframes. You can see I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 15 keyframes. It's 15 keyframes. Once you have them in the right spot, you'll go and change each keyframe's tension. And then after that, you'll go through and change each keyframe's ease between them.